Hey folks, welcome to Market Technical Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leader in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Today, Wednesday, July 30th, 2008. Well, today was a miraculous, unbelievable day for a couple different reasons. Number one, oil, and number two, financials. Now, unbelievable from this aspect, guys, is that you basically had the market rallying on oil and financials. Now, I know that seems like a crazy thing to understand, but remember back in the day prior to when oil got above like 131 and so forth, and you have a lot of these components in the S&P and in the Dow based on oil, whether it's ExxonMobil or Chevron and the rest of these, how oil would go up and the markets would continue up. And this is what we saw kind of in like late 2007 and so forth, in the last little bit before the market rolled over. Well, that's what we saw today, is like a rebirth of that type of thing, because these oil stocks like ExxonMobil, Chevron, you name it, Cleveland-Cliffs, JRCC, James River Coal, you name all of these stocks that are based on coal or energy or alternate energy, they'd been beaten and beaten and beaten. And then all of a sudden today you had a rally in oil, and it was a tremendous rally off of inventories at 10:30. And we mentioned this as a key indicator for today going into how the market would behave. And all of a sudden, off of this move, you saw these stocks rally up as oil shot up almost $5 today, taking a move all the way up to back to 120, just under $127 on the day, give or take. All right, and all these stocks started to rally, and it really just pulled the indexes up. So while oil was a barrier, and oftentimes you think of oil being something that pulls down the market, today it actually works in the reverse. Now, should oil continue to go up, it'll start behaving again like it used to, where it takes the market down. But right now, the market is in a jubilant state with the financials continuing their move up, and the oil stocks as well rallying big today. Stocks like DIG, which is an ETF, which is 2 times long oil and gas stocks, just had a tremendous day. So we're going to go over all this stuff, and again, we called out, we isolated the USO yesterday and talked about a lot on the chart of that USO, why it was setting up for a rally, and today, what a rally that thing had. So that was a great setup yesterday. I'm glad we covered that in the video yesterday, and I'm glad it was talked about. The other thing I'll talk about is the UNG, the natural gas ETF, which was called out 2 videos ago as a possible buy, got a nice rally today as well, and we'll look at that again. But before we do that, I just want to touch base on this. You guys know, if you watched yesterday's video, we have the webinar coming up, and this webinar is a unique webinar, alright? And again, it's right before we flip over to the new website status type thing, so you do want to take it before then. I would encourage you, because things will change. But right now, a lot of proprietary stuff is covered here, and you can read it on your own time. Pause the video if you want to really look over it. But go to InTheMoneyStocks.com and click on the webinar page, and then go to click here to sign up, and you can just sign up and take it this Saturday. I do encourage you to take it. You'll find out stuff you never even dreamed there, and you will walk away a better trader. So I do encourage you all to take that, all right? Again, it's this Saturday, August 2nd, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Alrighty, let's get right into the charts here, guys, because this was an interesting day, as I mentioned. Number one, you had a nice little loop-de-loop on this chart. Now, again, what happened here? And this is where it gets very, very interesting. Early on, you had oil pretty much flat, okay? Now, everyone knows when inventories come out, right? They come out at 10:30 to actually 10:35 recently. They've been moving them back to 10:35 a.m. Eastern Time. And look at the markets. As oil's flat on the day, the markets are trending higher. It's a nice little move here. And then right here is where the market gets a little bit of that shock. And this is the unique thing about today, which was so surprising, or to a lot of people would be surprising, is that right here, this line I just drew in, look where it coincides. 10:30. That's when oil inventories came out. And all of a sudden, you saw oil starting to buck the trend and rally off the lows. And that at first took the markets down. But look at the pattern you form. You form a nice W pattern on the bottom. Double bottom right here. And then off to the races, back to the highs of the day. Now, where does this market really start to rally? Well, number one, the market gets taken down from 10:30 to 2:30. And what do we know about 2:30? 2:30 is when crude oil, spot crude oil closes. The futures on crude oil close. So you basically have inventories coming up, rally, 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 rally in oil. And then oil closes higher on the day, and all of a sudden the markets take off as those stocks take over. So fear of oil going higher and moving maybe up $10 today kind of goes away, and then all of a sudden people are realizing, and the indexes realize, that these stocks like ExxonMobil, which has just been killed lately, and I'll show you guys that on the daily. Look at this, from all the way up here on ExxonMobil to this nice basing pattern, and then all of a sudden up to the races, off to the races goes ExxonMobil, up 350 on the day. Tremendous move. Chevron CVX. We can take a look at that. And same thing. Look at this fall on Chevron here. and look at the rally off the lows. Now, yesterday in the video, we talked about this pattern, all right? We talked about this, and we spent a lot of time on this, actually, how this was getting to be very, very oversold. We talked about key support lines right here that we're into, that were held yesterday, in fact, and then also the key support line of right here that was also touched yesterday and it bounced off of. All right. We then talked about if it should move down any lower, it would look for this support. But either way, what you had in this situation is oil sitting on a solid support line right here. The odds were not that great, but it was a decent odds in your favor. You know, I think I mentioned 60-40 yesterday off of this line, and it would have been about 75-25 or 70-30 right here. And if it filled the gap, it would have been 80-20 yesterday. But either way, any way you cut it, that's a beautiful move on oil. USO was up $4.22 today on that big move. Now, the other thing I mentioned 2 videos ago was the UNG. Now, the UNG, what did I see here in this chart? Because look at this chart. This is the natural gas chart, all right? And we talked about this 2 days ago right here, and what we basically were saying is that this chart was extremely oversold, and we were showing major, major signs of all our proprietary indicators here that we're using based on time, pattern, price, you name it. You count the candles here and add in our formula, you're going to get certain numbers that we've come up with that are key rally numbers, and they've all signaling right down here starting 2 days ago that this was an extremely oversold situation. All right. Now, it was right here at approximately 42.45. 42.45, which we called it on this video right here, and then you take the opening price of the following day since it was after hours, and that was 42.45 would be the price you'd want to take on our call. And you guys know it's very rare I'll actually go out on a limb and say I like a specific ETF or stock this much as I did that day. In any case, 42.45. From that lows, it's at 43.43, up 98 cents off of that move, and a very nice move. Now, technically, this chart should continue up. All right, you've already $1 into the bounce. You don't want to get greedy in this situation, but in many situations, you look for a move up, at least a retrace, maybe a 0.318, yeah, like a Fibonacci, 31, 32% retrace. You can talk about 0.382, excuse me, on that Fibonacci retrace. But in any case, we do expect for this to continue to move up. The question will be how many times does it move up? If you got a 2-bar to 3-bar surge up, that's where I would definitely take profits. And the one interesting thing about natural gas tomorrow, guys, is that you have inventory numbers on natural gas. So the fact that it rallied ahead of that is not necessarily the best sign. But either way, from the call right here, you're up basically $1 on that play. At this point, you have a break-even stop at 42.45. And you let it run, or you take half off the table tomorrow morning and you let it run the rest of the way. But either way, you have a break-even stop, and this is the way you trade. As a trader, you have to learn to trade this way. When you're in the money $1, if you're going to let it run, you put a break-even stop. No positive play where you're up $1 or 50 cents or $2 should ever turn against you, and you should ever let it sink below the negative line. That's trading 101, and I can't stress that enough. As soon as you're in the money decently, where it's not going to just fluctuate intraday and take you out, that's when you stick that stop break even and you let it do its thing. And if it continues to rally, maybe it goes here, maybe it goes here, who knows? But at least you're continuing to have that break even stop, and obviously as it moves higher, you raise that stop to ensure you're taking a profit off the table based on time and other indicators. Alright, so UNG again, nice little move today off our 2-day-ago call for a possibility of a rally. It was a very extreme oversold situation on that chart, and we did see a little bit of that. Alright, a couple other things to talk about. Let's talk about the SPY, the overall indexes, because this is getting very interesting. I personally thought that we'd have a pause day today after the massive reversal yesterday, but it really just kept on going on the SPY. The NASDAQ itself was actually a little more on the flat line. The NASDAQ was just up 10 points, but the Dow and the S&P, having so many of these financials and oil stocks in them, continued up. So you had a weird day today. The NASDAQ was basically flat. It was just up 10 points on the day, while the S&P and the Dow were up 186 on the Dow and 21 on the S&P, which is a solid move. I mean, that's a great move up. No way to sugarcoat that. But what you are seeing now is, as you're getting up in this area, you're going to hit resistance here. All right, this is double top resistance off that move. Now, whether or not it gets through, we'll have to watch. If it does happen to get through and consolidates right around here, maybe you get a couple pause days, look for the next move to be to the 50 moving average, and I'll draw that in because I know it's hard for some of you guys to see. Here's the 50 moving average. Look for consolidation off of this move and a possible move to that 50 moving average if you do not get a strong pullback off this double top. So those are the two scenarios you want to keep in mind. We all know just from looking at this chart and understanding technicals that this is going to be resistance. This is double top resistance right here on this little move. But the question will be, how much of a pullback or pause do we get? Based off of that, we should be able to tell in the coming days whether or not we're going to make a run at this 50 moving average. Ultimately, we're going there. It's just a matter of, do we pull back first, or do we just make another push up right away and continue this rally? In my opinion, things are getting a little overbought, especially in the Dow and the S&P side of things, and the SPY. And 2 days of solid moves, though. Very, very nice. So watch that, folks. Very, very interesting two scenarios there. Continue to watch oil. Oil up being up $5. We'll see if it continues tomorrow, or does it pull back tomorrow. The UNG is going to be very, very interesting. And again, break-even stop on that once you're up $1 on that play, and you want to be very cautious on that ahead of the inventories. If we didn't have inventories tomorrow, I would not be as concerned. But on inventories, you just don't know. You could have a major move one way or the other. I still favor the upside, obviously. That's why you just keep the break-even stop and let it run. But should it go the opposite way, you want to be able to move out for a flat on that trade. Okay, have a wonderful day, guys. Join the seminar. Come join the chat room. Fantastic chat room, guys. We have so much fun in there. I can't express that enough. You'll learn tons about technicals and analyzing stocks intraday. And also join the Swing Trade Alerts. Take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow.